guys, welcome back to another video on the She Talk Systems channel. My name is Nicola Melinda and I am your verified ClickUp consultant, here to teach you how to leverage ClickUp in your business to make your internal processes a lot easier to manage. In today's video, we are going to be looking at how to build out a help desk or support ticket process inside of ClickUp. I'm going to be walking you through some of the main features that you can put to work in ClickUp. I'm talking about features such as using the forms, email automations, and how you can make sure that you have a streamlined support process that will support your business, but also your clients as well. If you are new to the channel, a very warm welcome from me. Make sure that you do hit subscribe so that you can find out when a new video is loaded up onto the channel. Okay, so this is my high level process map for a support ticket process that can run inside of ClickUp. So we have the start of the process, that is essentially when a form is submitted. So we'll be using the ClickUp form in this process to be able to capture the data that we need to work on that support ticket. The first thing that will happen after that form is submitted is an email automation is going to send out via ClickUp, and that's going to acknowledge that we've received the form. It's going to send straight out to our clients. Next, it's going to add that form submission into ClickUp as a task. So that task is then going to be assigned automatically to our project manager. Our project manager is going to grab that task inside of the list. They're going to review it, and they're going to assign it to a team member to actually take that ticket forward and do the work. So we're mapping out this process before we put it into ClickUp, but you can already see that we've got some automated stages. We're utilizing the key functions inside of ClickUp to make this process as streamlined as possible. Inside the actual list, what I'm going to share with you are the high-level statuses that we'll be using to push this task or this support ticket through the workflow. When it is assigned to a team member, there's going to be an automation that updates it to assign to the team, so then we know that it's ready to get started on. The team member can then get started on the support ticket, update that it's in progress, it's been worked on, and an email will fire out when it is updated in progress to the client to let them know that work has started. Then we have some internal elements that need to be also looked at. Depending on the process that the support ticket is for, you may have some revisions that need to be shared with the clients. So in that case, we've got a decision key here where we're saying, are there further edits required? Yes or no. If there are, then we update the status to edits are required and the team member gets to work. When they have finished making the edits, then they'll put it back into internal review, and a subtask is again assigned, created and assigned to the project manager to review that task. If there's no further edits, then the task is put into the client review status, and this is an email that needs to be sent manually, just depending on the process. Now, if it is pretty much where you're sharing perhaps a link to an asset and you want clients to be able to review that, then what I would suggest is creating a custom field in ClickUp, and I'll share that in a moment of how you can do that. And then this email can send out directly from ClickUp as well, so it doesn't have to be a manual step. If they are happy, then wonderful, we can mark that task as complete. If they're not happy, then we put that back into edits required, where we're capturing their notes as well, and then work can be done, and it goes through the process all over again. But then we have an option that if the task is marked as complete, obviously we'll share an email to confirm that the ticket has been closed, and an optional add-on, which I'm not actually going to cover in this video, but I want you to tell me if you want to see how to add on a feedback process inside of ClickUp as well. Drop a like if that's something you do want me to do, and I will put that video together for you. But that is an optional add-on at the end of this process, and if we're thinking about client experience, this is a really good way to enhance your client experience as well. So enough of me sharing my little process map. Let's see what this looks like in real time inside of a ClickUp workspace. Okay, so this is actually created within a folder, and I've created this particular list inside of my client space, inside of client support folder, and we have a dedicated list which is called client support tickets. So let's have a look at what we've got. We've got our form in place, we've got our views which are filtered, and then we have the statuses in place for this particular ticket. So these are all of the statuses that we have in place. So let's start with the client's request form. And like I said, this process can really be applied across different use cases. It could be, so this is one that I put together for my business, and it is a client support request form. So we've got some instructions in the description as to what clients can consider submitting, and some examples or some instructions if they have booked a day rate with us or booked a call with us. We've got all of the options in place in the description. So next we're looking at the different fields. So the questions. So when you are creating a form inside of ClickUp, the form does need to have a title. So the first name is the title of the task. So any clients that submit this task, it's going to come through with their first name, but we're also capturing their last name, company name, and also their email address. Now, something that is really important to note is that you definitely want to capture their email address and their first name, because we are going to be sending emails in this process. So we want to be able to personalize the communications that are sending out and ensure that we have an email to send out the communications to. Then we've added in our own questions. So we're asking, you know, how do you describe yourself? Which option are they? Which is basically what type of a client are they? Are they a day rate client? Are they just asking for different levels of support? So that's a drop down question. If they've booked a day rate, we're asking for the date of their day rate. What does the request relate to? So what type of support do they need? What's the nature of the request? Is it workflow updates, process review? So these are some examples of questions that you will want to ask. You want to think about what are the high level questions that your client is going to add onto this form, and what information do you need to capture from them in order for your team to action the request behind the scenes. Definitely a key field to add is an attachment field. So share any attachments or an option to share any relevant links. Definitely in the task description as well, ask them to share as much information as possible so that you have all of the details. And if there seems to be any gaps, you can always go back and ask for the gaps to be clarified. So the next thing that we've added in our settings is we've assigned that task to a specific person. And if you do have a template, a task template, you can also select to have a task template applied. So when this form is submitted, it can apply that template automatically. For this particular task, those settings are fine. This link can be shared with your clients. So if you use Slack or emails, or share it in your welcome packs or your client portals so that clients know exactly where to go to submit for any support that they need help with. So when this form is submitted, it's going to be added to our new request view. So we can see there that the client has filled out the form, filled out the field. So let's have a look at what is inside of this task now. If we open it up, we'll be able to see more details about this particular task. So it's set under the status of new support ticket. It's assigned to project manager, and we have some additional details here. So this is actually pulling in a template, but we can see that an email has been sent out to our client where we have captured in the support ticket, so the support request. We've let them know this is the date of the submission, it's the project type, this is your request, your details are below, and any links that they've shared. And we'll say when the task is set to start on, we'll put that in. And if there's any incorrect details, please come back to us how to contact us. So it is a pretty automated response, and you can definitely use something very similar. We've also pulled in the responses into the task description as well, which is a setting you can use from the forms, and that's really, really beneficial. So now, as part of this template, what you have is just some instructions on how to set up this task. So we've got details on complete the information for the description, assign the task owner, set the due date and start date, and just review the task due dates. So then we've got all of the custom fields. So we can see how this task has been set up. Now, the next element that will take place in this process is that when it is assigned to a team member, then we can just mark it as assigned to the team. So that will be the next update, and that will literally change the request. You can see that the request has moved, and instead now it's in our next view, which is called the active tickets view. So we're filtering out our list so that we don't need to be inundated or overwhelmed with the new requests. We're filtering it out based on what's new, what's active, what's closed, what are closed tickets. So the team will be able to see we've got some active tickets that they need to work on, and they'll be able to get to work. So once that task is being set to be in progress, what will happen is another email automation will send out to our client to let them know that this task is now being worked on. So you can see we've got a new email there that says your support request is underway. This is a courtesy email just to let you know we've started, etc, etc. Allow up to 48 hours for us to follow up. So there's a 48-hour turnaround time to get this task back with the client. And that client has asked for an automation to be added to their workflow. So let's add in an automation here. So all of the automations you can see are listed in the automation space. If you haven't yet started to use automations, make sure you do subscribe, because I do have a video coming up where I will be walking you through how to use automations inside of ClickUp. And I do also have another video on how to automate your emails in ClickUp as well. That one I will link below. Make sure you subscribe for the upcoming tutorial on automations in ClickUp. So we've got some automations already. You can see that when the task is created, we want to change the due date and change the status. When a task is also created, we want to send the email. So that's where all of our automations are in place. And some of these automations are multi-step automations, which means that they have additional steps that will cause the trigger to take place. So in this case, we've got one action when the task is created, and we're only doing this against the task, just tasks, not subtasks. We're going to update the due date, change the status as well. So just to give you an insight on what automations we have in place. The next automation is what sends the email to the client. So this is the email automation where we are acknowledging that we've got their support request. So here we're using some of the smart fields where we're capturing the date that it's been created. And these are custom fields that are attached to the form. So that's where we have we can see or add in that information into the task itself. That's where we can add this information into the email to send out to the clients. The next automation that we have is when the work starts. So when the status changes from assigned to the team to in progress, then we're sending an email to our client again to let them know that their work is underway. So this is a super, super simple workflow to just keep your clients in the loop, and your team can just continue with the work. It's not taking anyone too much time. An additional automation of what we're going to create, which is also a part of our client's work, is to add in a subtask. So what we're going to do is that when a task is updated, actually we'll do it when a status changes. So when a status goes to in review, internal review, then we want to create a subtask. So the subtask name is review. We'll add in the task name. We don't have a template, so that's fine. We won't worry about that. We'll just put assigned to the team, and we'll enter the task description. We're going to set our due date, and because we have such a tight turnaround time, we're actually going to set the due date as the trigger date, and we'll assign it to our project manager. So I'm just going to reassign it back to myself in this scenario. The task type is just a normal task, so that's all we need to worry about. We're not applying any tags, and we'll just create. So we're now creating that subtask. So essentially what will happen is when this task goes into internal review, it's going to create a subtask for us, and that's what's been asked for on this particular task. So let's test it out. So let's update this status to go from in progress to internal review, and we should see our subtasks being applied to this particular task. Okay, so we can see that we've got our task in place, and we've got the due date assigned, the assignee. So now that is in internal review. If you had two different team members, then you would have two different assignees, and it means that it doesn't interfere with the actual original parent task that is assigned to the team member. So all you'll need to do is the project manager, you'll go away, review it, and then you'd come back and share if that task is ready to be sent to the client or if there are any edits required. I would just say in this instance, it's fine, we'll send it to the client and the clients can review that task. And another email will be sent to the clients. Now in this scenario, this is where, if you remember, I said you'd have the option to do a manual email to the clients, or you could create an email automation if you can capture the feedback for the piece of work. And so what you can do is create a custom field, which is, let's see if we have an existing custom field. So you could create that automation inside of ClickUp right here. As long as you have the link to the feedback attached to the task, you can grab that custom field and add it to the email automation. So similar to what I shared with you earlier, when we shared with the client all of the details that they'd added in their form, you can do a similar email automation to send to the client a link for them to view the completed work. Now, if the work is actually completed and it's all fine and good to go, all you'll do is just update the actual task and we'll just mark it as a completed request. So that's going to remove it. We can resolve this item. The review has taken place, and that's now going to move it into our closed tickets view. So now you can see our task is sat within our closed tickets section. So we can always go back to review it, to check up on any updates or information that was in the task. But now you can go back to reviewing any new requests and working on any other active requests that are happening. So that is literally the process from start to finish. Like I said, if you do want to see almost a part 2, some sort of a feedback process in place as part of this, let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this walkthrough, and also be sure to check out the description where I will link in some additional videos to help you use some of these features that we've already touched on inside of ClickUp, and they will help you to get started as well. Okay, so there you have it. We have gone through a very easy process that you can implement right away into your business. Having a support ticket process that captures the comments, captures the need of the client, allows your team to take quick action, but also means that you can track what's been completed and also capture feedback as well if you want to dive into that. As always, thank you so much for watching this channel, and I will see you next time.